Good morning, Veritas. Today is June 5th, 2020. It is Friday. Happy Friday. I hope that everybody is doing well today. Sorry that I have the lighting is not great because it's kind of rainy out, so there's not much sun coming in. So bear with me if the video is a little dark today, okay? So let's get started with number one. Go to your Google Classroom assignment for today's date, June 5th, 2020. Okay, number one says, which of the following match the definition of a trapezoid? So your reference sheet's not going to give you any information about these different shapes. These are different polygons we're going to read about right now, which we've been learning about all week. We need to find which one matches the definition of a trapezoid. Okay? One way we could go about this problem is we'll cross off the ones that we know what the definition is matching for, right? So if we know, for example, it's a square or a rectangle, then we can cross those ones off, right? So we're going to work very, very carefully as we go through it. Okay, so trapezoid. A says a polygon with 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. So if all 4 sides were equal, they're all the same length, and there's 4 right angles, meaning that the angles all meet in 90 degrees, right? They make a perfect L shape, like 90 degrees like this. Perfect right angle in each corner. That's called a square. Okay, so that's not a trapezoid. 4 equal sides and 4 right angles is a square. Okay, so that one's not correct. Let's look at B. A polygon with 2 pairs of equal sides and 4 right angles. So 2 pairs of equal sides, like that pair is equal, and this pair is equal, and they have 4 right angles. We call this shape a rectangle. That's the name of this polygon that they described here. 2 pairs of equal sides, 4 right angles. That is a rectangle. So let's continue. C, a polygon with 4 equal sides, 2 acute angles, and 2 obtuse angles. Okay, let me draw that over here. Okay, 4 equal sides. All these sides are the same length. There's 2 obtuse angles that are greater than 90 degrees, these 2 here, and 2 acute angles that are less than 90 degrees, these 2 here. That is called a rhombus. Okay, so we're left with D, but let's carefully work through this one and make sure that this is the correct answer. It says D, a polygon with at least 1 pair of parallel sides. And that is the definition of a trapezoid. So the answer is D. Okay, so a trapezoid is a polygon with at least 1 pair of parallel sides. So it can have 1 pair of parallel sides. Those 2 are parallel. They'll never ever cross each other. But these 2 are not parallel, because if you were to extend this line this way and this line this way, they would eventually cross. So this one has 1 pair of parallel sides, so it is a trapezoid. Okay, if you look at it like this, right, this one still, just this pair are parallel, so that has 1 pair of parallel sides. But remember from the other day, it has to have at least 1 pair of parallel sides. So a square would be a trapezoid, okay, but this definition isn't the definition of a trapezoid. A rectangle does have at least 1 pair of parallel sides. It has 2. So that's also a trapezoid. A rectangle is a trapezoid, but that was the definition of a rectangle, where D is the definition of a trapezoid. It's a polygon with at least 1 pair of parallel sides. So that's tricky because, yes, a square is a trapezoid, and a rectangle is a trapezoid, right? But those are not the definitions of a trapezoid. A trapezoid is a polygon with at least 1 pair of parallel sides. So give yourself some snaps. The answer was D for that one. Nice job. Okay, that's a good way to do it. If you're not quite sure, it's good to try to work through the others, draw little examples, try to draw out what it is that they're describing, and see if you can figure out what shape or what polygon that is. All right, now let's go to number 2. It says find the sum of 256 and 3/10 and 243 thousandths, because there's the decimal point, tenths, hundredths, then the thousandths place here. Okay, so we're finding the sum, so that means we have to, the sum is the answer to an addition problem. So we are adding 256 and 3/10. Finding the sum, so we're adding 256.3, got it right, and 0.243, or 243 thousandths because it ends in the thousandths place. So here's the hard part. The decimal points when we are adding or subtracting, decimals have to be lined up. So the 2 has to go under the 3/10. The 4 goes in the hundredths place by itself, and the 3 goes in the thousandths place by itself. So we're doing 256.3. So the 3 is in the tenths place, and that means the 2, 4, 3, the 2 has to be in the tenths place, then the 4 in the hundredths, and the 3 in the thousandths. So what we can do here, I'll do it in a different color so you can see. We're going to put a 0 for those because there are 0 hundredths in that one, and we're going to put a 0 in the thousandths place too, just to hold those place values. Okay, really important that those decimal points are lined up perfectly. Okay, I'm going to check one more time. Do I have the right numbers? 256.3 and 0.243. 256.3 and 0.243. We're good to go. So we're going to set the decimal point. This is where our decimal point is. Now we're going to add all the place values that are the same place value together. So 0 plus 3 is 3. Make sure you're careful that we're adding for this one to find the sum. 0 plus 4 is 4. 3 plus 2 is 5. Then we have our decimal point there. So far we have 543 thousandths. 6 plus 0, we can put a 0 here if we need to hold those places. 6 plus 0 is 6. 5 plus 0 is 5 tenths. And 2 plus 0 is 2 hundredths. So the answer here, we found the sum of those two numbers. It's 256 and, say and at the decimal point, 256 and 543 thousandths because it lands in the thousandths place. Okay, so let's write it here. 256 and 543 thousandths is the answer to this problem. Give yourself some snaps. Nice work on that. Sorry about the lighting in the video, but you guys are doing a great job. Last one. Okay, let's go on to number 3. I'm going to carefully organize my work over here. This one says find the difference between 26 and 4/12 and 18 and 3/4. So we're finding the difference. The difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So we are subtracting to find out how different these two are, right? Basically, what is the difference in the middle of them? So to find out the difference between these two, you subtract the two. Okay, so we're going to do 26 and 4/12. We're going to subtract to find the difference. 18 and 3/4. Then I'm going to check one more time, make sure I have them right. Difference, we're subtracting. And I'm going to circle the subtraction symbol so I don't forget. Between 26 and 4/12 and 18 and 3/4. 26 and 4/12, 18 and 3/4. Good job. Sometimes I find that you guys write the wrong numbers sometimes because you're just trying to work a little too quickly. So slow down, check a few times, make sure we're in good shape. Okay, so we can't add these yet because the denominators are not the same. Okay, there's a different number of pieces in each whole. This whole is cut into 12 pieces, so each of those pieces is much smaller. This whole is cut into 4 pieces, so each of those pieces is much bigger. Okay, so we need to make them so that they're the same size. So we're going to make the smaller one bigger because 4 can multiply to get to 12. We're going to make our denominators 12. They have to be 12 so that we can then subtract these. Okay, so we're going to multiply 3/4 times a fraction that's equal to 1. So the way we do that is by multiplying them both times the same number, and I'll explain that in a second. So 4 times 3 gets us to where we need to be at 12. So we're going to multiply 3 times the same number that we multiplied 4 by. So times 3. 4 times 3 was 12, so 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so all we did, we took 3/4 and we multiplied it by 3/3. And 3/3 is 1 whole, right? If I had thirds, and if I had 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, then what I really have is 1 whole. Okay, so 3/3 equals 1 whole. It's the same thing. Whenever you have the numerator and the denominator that are the same number, that means you have all 3 parts out of 3 total parts. So you have 1 whole. So all we did was multiply it times 1. So we didn't really change it. We just multiplied times 1. It stayed the same, and now the numbers are a little different, but it's the same value. 3/4 and 9/12 are exactly the same thing because all we did was multiply it by 1. So it's still equal to what it was before. Now we can subtract. So the trouble is we have 4/12 minus 9/12. We only have 4 of them. You can't take 9 away. You only have 4 to take away. So you can't do, let me use the black pen for this, you can't do 4/12 minus 9/12 because you're taking a smaller number and you're trying to subtract a bigger number away from it. You can't do that, right? If I have 4/12, I can't take 9 away. I only have 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow. We're going to borrow from the whole number. We'll take 1 away from the whole number and make it 25, and then we'll add 1 to this fraction. But it has to be 12ths. That way we can then do the subtraction afterwards. So what we did here was we took 1 away from the whole number. Then we're adding 1 here to the fraction. And then those equal each other out. Then we didn't really do anything. We took 1 from the whole number, we add 1 to the fraction. We're just trading 1 so that now we can do the subtraction. So 4/12 plus the 12/12 makes 16/12. So now we have 25 and 16/12 minus 18 and 9/12. And now we can do the subtraction. Okay? 16 minus 9 is 7. 12ths minus 12ths stay as 12ths. That's just telling us how many pieces are in each hole. And since they're the same, we can then just subtract. 25 minus 18 is 7. So the answer is 7 and 7/12. You can't simplify 7/12. You can't divide those both by the same number to make them any simpler, right? So that is our final answer, 7 and 7/12. So the difference between 26 and 4/12 and 18 and 3/4 is 7 and 7/12. I'm just going to check if that's a reasonable answer. 26 minus 18 is about 8, but since this is 26 and a fraction, and this is closer to 19 because it's 3/4, we could say that's about 26 minus 19, which is about 7, which gives us a reasonable answer. All right, so that's it. Give yourself some snaps. Nice work today. Check over your answers. If you made any mistakes, your job is to find out where did you make your mistake, right? If you didn't get this subtraction one, go back and watch this part of the video and try to figure out where it was that you made your mistake. And carefully, you can keep pausing the video and rewinding it and slowing down the speech so that you can really understand it. Same thing with this one. Where was your mistake if you made a mistake? And if you need a little bit of practice with these definitions, why don't you practice drawing out some of those definitions as you try to solve it. And that's it. Hope everybody has a great day. Happy Friday. See ya.